Welcome to 60 Minutes. I'm Caitlin SEETO, and today's segment will be on Qantas's 2011 industrial dispute. Australia experienced its largest industrial relations dispute in 2011 after union sport airline company Qantas over employee pay and conditions. Qantas's CEO Alan Joyce grounded all flights and locked out staff in response to the claims. Qantas's decision to negotiate enterprise agreements and outsourcing jobs overseas led to pilots, ground staff, and engineers threatening to strike. The dispute carried on for several months. Supporting these Qantas employees, the Australian and International Pilots Association, the Australian Licensed Aircraft Engineers Association, and the Transport Workers Union fought against Alan Joyce's decision. As a result, Fair Work Australia stepped in, mediating between Qantas and the involved unions to resolve the dispute. The dispute began in August 2010, when APA canvassed its members after concerns were raised regarding pilots' enterprise agreements, fearing that Qantas were going to employ pilots on lower rates from their subsidiaries. After ALIA's enterprise agreement was terminated in December that year, APA's claims were further pursued, with Fair Work Australia including job security provisions and equal wages for Qantas engineers. As a result of ALIA's enterprise agreement terminations, in March 2011, ALIA applied to Fair Work Australia seeking to commence industrial action. 2 months later, after unions stated that their negotiations had hit a brick wall, ALIA members began shortening their work hours and refusing duties. However, shortly after this action commenced, Fair Work Australia granted APA's application commencing protected industrial action. Adding to the dispute, Qantas announced that 1,000 jobs were going to be cut. Meanwhile, the Transport Workers Union proposed that 3,800 members were going to take 4-hour work stops. Qantas then cancelled scheduled flights, as well as grounding 5 aircrafts. During this time, Qantas alleged acts of intimidation towards workers who continued to work during the action. As a result of the dispute's escalation, Tourism Minister Hon Martin Ferguson called upon Fair Work Australia to intervene. Alan Joyce then decided that negotiations should be between both parties, rather than seeking government mediation. In response to the enterprise bargaining actions and the union's claims, Joyce announced the grounding of the entire Qantas domestic fleet. Fair Work Australia then terminated all industrial action at Qantas under Fair Work Act Section 424. As a result of the grounding, the Senate Rural Affairs and Transport Legislation Committees sought Joyce to provide evidence about his decision whilst looking into the Air Navigation and Civil Aviation Amendment Bill 2011 and the Qantas Sale Amendment Bill 2011. Later that year, despite strong public support for Fair Work Australia ending the grounding, APA challenged their decision in the federal court. Qantas and the involved unions failed to reach an agreement within the 21-day timeframe. However, Qantas and ALIA proposed to Fair Work Australia an agreement stating a 3% rise in wages, job security for existing engineers, but allowing A380 maintenance offshore, officially ending the dispute. Numerous issues arose as a result of the dispute. The first issue identified were the 68,000 passengers that were affected as a result of Qantas's decision to cancel 447 flights worldwide. The inconvenienced customers were offered compensation of refund and rebooking priority, as well as Jetstar adding 10 flights to their schedule, assisting 3,200 Qantas customers, whilst Virgin added 3,000 extra flights. Alan Joyce also offered personal apologies to key clients. The second issue identified is Joyce's claim that employees who continued to work during the dispute received death threats and acts of intimidation from unions and their members. It was revealed that they had also had their car windows smashed and damaged after refusing to strike. As a result, Joyce expressed his concern for their safety, stating, "I think it is vile. Intimidation and bullying in any workplace is something we should not allow." Joyce sent a memo to 35,000 Qantas employees reminding them that such actions are not acceptable, and both the Australian Federal Police and the New South Wales Police investigated the matter. The decision to ground planes had an extreme impact on Tourism Australia, resulting in large repercussions on the Australian economy. The Australian tourism industry suffered $80 million over the weekend the planes were grounded, resulting in a $250 million daily loss to the Australian economy. Qantas's share of domestic aviation was also cut back 40%, whilst its share of international flights and air freight was just under 20% as a result of the grounding. As a result of the dispute's severe impact on Australian tourism and economy, Tourism Minister Hon Martin Ferguson called upon Fair Work Australia to intervene. The federal government also called an urgent hearing of Fair Work Australia under Section 424 of the Fair Work Act in the hope that all industrial action from all parties would terminate. An immediate hearing was then held, and after the tribunal's 12-hour session, Fair Work Australia demanded an end to all industrial action and ordered that planes be put back in the air. The parties were forced into a 21-day resolution. The legality of each action undertaken by the involved parties throughout the dispute can be brought into question. The main parties include Qantas management, employees, unions, and Fair Work Australia. The strike action threats by Qantas pilots, ground staff, and engineers complied with Fair Work Commission, as did Alan Joyce's decision to lock them out. Fair Work Australia's mediation also complied with regulations. However, the alleged death threats, vandalism, and bullying from unions towards Qantas executives and non-strike workers is in breach of the Fair Work Act 2009, and therefore such actions were illegal. As a result of Alan Joyce's decision to ground all fleets in response to unions' claims, certain repercussions affected Qantas. Due to the inconvenience caused, customer satisfaction was impacted with a loss of clients and a decrease in international bookings. Qantas also suffered due to its reputation and reliability being brought into question, with passengers looking to Qantas's competitors for more reliable airlines. The decision to ground all flights cost the airline approximately $20 million each day. If allowed to continue for 1 month, Qantas's entire 2011 profit base of $552 million would have been lost. Qantas's employees who were not involved in the dispute were also affected. For example, despite being paid, air stewardess jobs would have changed whilst the planes were down. Employees' jobs and personal security were also affected throughout the dispute due to the threatening acts directed at those who weren't involved in the industrial action. In response to the dispute, no changes were made to the legal framework. According to the Director of the Institute of Public Affairs, John Lloyd, the Fair Work system is more harmonious and effective than ever, resulting in no need for reform. Researchers established a number of recommendations that should be implemented in order to prevent similar disputes occurring. The first recommendation was that the Australian Government implement an industrial commission to resolve disputes. As there is no commission currently in place, if a large-scale dispute were to occur again, the government would have grounds to intervene and dissolve the situation. The second recommendation is the implementation of a communication strategy allowing important stakeholders to be informed, should industrial action begin to take place. Good faith bargaining obligations will also allow a more effective approach to achieve negotiations. This will reduce the risk of protected action and clearly define strategies for enterprise agreement negotiations. The final recommendation is that Qantas encourage employees share ownership by giving shares in the company to their staff as part of their salary. These incentives should be expanded to all staff because it aligns the interest of employers and employees, contributes to nation savings, gives boost to sunrise industries, and facilitates succession planning. So that concludes this segment of 60 Minutes. Thank you for watching.